Hello, everyone, and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today. We have an action-packed hour of learning and information on some really exciting topics that, of course, have been in the news, not just in Ohio, not just in the United States, but globally. And I'm really excited for this conversation. Welcome to the Ohio Innovation Tour, Intel and Higher Education in Northeastern Ohio, presented by the Ohio Innovation Exchange. We're excited, as I mentioned, to have you here, and so grateful for taking time out of your day to join us. My name is Chris Berry. I'm the president and CEO of OhioX. We are a statewide tech trade association, a nonprofit organization working to build Ohio into a tech hub. We do that with our members and partners from across the state, which represent Fortune 500s, startups, small and medium-sized tech-focused businesses, but also higher education, universities and community colleges, research centers. And it goes to show, I think, in our minds, the power and potential when we're able to combine all that's going on in Ohio and our real strengths, which is education, industry, government, academia, et cetera. In today's conversation, it's on Intel and what has been the biggest piece of news and economic development projects in our state's history. This Intel expansion into our state has been called a once-in-a-generation opportunity. And we're so excited to see what we can build and grow into it. This partnership creates a new industry for our state, which we get to welcome Intel and their team in, provides transformational workforce development efforts for education, training, and research across our higher education community. Today, we're going to explore what this means for our state and for our higher education. This webinar is going to feature awardees and their partners of the Intel Semiconductor Education and Research Program for Ohio. This is the first in a series of similar webinars and similar events that our organization, OhioX, is co-hosting and being presented by the Ohio Innovation Exchange. So we're really excited to not just be having this today, but really kickstarting this Ohio Innovation Tour. Today's speakers in the lineup will have has folks from the Ohio Innovation Exchange, Intel, Kent State University, Lake Erie College, Lorain Community College, Stark State College, and Case Western Reserve University. And so as we go on today, as I mentioned, we got an action-packed hour. I'm Chris Berry, as I mentioned, so this is our welcome and introductions. Next, we're going to go to our overview and a demo of the Ohio Innovation Exchange. You're going to see exactly what it is. It's a bit of a newer resource that's incredible, and we're going to learn exactly how industry and academia can partner and work together. We're going to hear from Intel on their work in the state and plans for the future. We're then going to hear from a series of our higher education partners and what they're doing in collaboration with one another and in partnership to meet this opportunity, this generational moment for our state. Then at the end, we'll have a Q&A and close where we're going to be able to have some conversation and hopefully continue to connect and take the conversation forward beyond today. Before we start, we invite you to share your name and the organization that you represent in the chat. So if you want to go in, and as soon as I stop talking, I'll do it so for myself. If you happen to want to put your LinkedIn or an email, if you're looking to connect with folks, you're certainly more than welcome for that. We have folks from all across Ohio, from government, from academia, from industry that are joining us today. So it's a diverse and wide-ranging audience that we do have. As we go throughout the conversation and our hour together, you can use the Q&A chat to share your questions and thoughts during our event today. Very much recommend it. You're share it to everyone, or if you just want to send it as a DM to us host, you're welcome to do that as well. At the end, we'll have a call for what other topics you'd like us to see covered in future webinars and events like this, but we'll get to that in a little bit. And then, of course, continue to connect with us after today's event. The Ohio Innovation Exchange, it's ohioinnovationexchange.org. They're on LinkedIn, they're on Twitter, same with us at OhioX. And so as we get going, we are going to now welcome the Ohio Innovation Exchange, to the table, allow them to share exactly what they're doing, what they have built, and the work that they are just getting started with. So Jeff, I'm going to turn it over to you if you want to first introduce yourself and then the Ohio Innovation Exchange.
Thank you, Chris, so much for that welcome, and welcome everybody to this event. It really is a unique opportunity to showcase what is going on in the state of Ohio in terms of industry and higher education partnerships. So I just want to thank all the panelists for being here today. It's a very ambitious event with this many panelists, but we're just going to get the show started. So the Innovation Exchange is an initiative of the Ohio Department of Higher Education. Right now, if you click on the contact us form, by the way, it's just ohioinnovationexchange.org. That will get you to the website and you can check that out. Chris, if you don't mind putting that in chat, that'd be great. Right now we have over 8 universities that are participating. The newest one is Northeast Ohio Medical University up in the Northeast side. They're in the process of loading their data. But what is the Innovation Exchange? It's a tool to facilitate connections and collaborations for research partnerships, academic partnerships, as well as other university initiatives and industry needs. Today is a great example of that. Intel needed some help and put out an RFP. We'll hear about that in a little bit. And many universities across the state responded with some innovative and novel ideas. And this is a showcase of what that looks like. You can search our search box here. I'm just throwing in a term like microelectronics. I always find it hard to talk and search at the same time. But when you hit the search box, what comes back is across all our institutions. Right now, we have Case, Ohio State, and Cincinnati, where microelectronics shows up in a particular profile. And you can click on individual profiles. Here's somebody up at down at Cincinnati. Every faculty member's profile looks about the same in terms of the data that's available. On the left-hand side, you can email them directly. You can also view their collaboration network. This is generated auto through their publications and the like. Across the top is a brief bio page, their academic position, degrees, and then tags or other ways to search in the system. These are disciplinary topics and subdisciplines across the spectrum. Scholarly works are auto-generated. So once a faculty member builds their profile, researcher IDs do data mining and keep updating publications. You can see this one is current as of October 22nd. And in some cases, if it's public access, you can actually read the article right from the site. So here's a view PDF. Grants information is also auto-generated based on a researcher's ID. So as they're getting funding from over 600 different funding agencies, those funding mechanisms appear, and there's a link always to get to the detail where you can actually go to the NSF site and see the abstract and things like that. We're going to jump back to the homepage, which is as easy as clicking on the main logo. You'll notice that we have some drop-down menus. We have some links across the bottom. There's basically 3 sets of data. University experts, which basically number about 10,000 at any given time. We have equipment data, which is a little bit of a misnomer. When I click on that, it goes way beyond research instrumentation and includes things like services, centers, institutes, laboratories, biological materials, databases, funding opportunities that universities push out, some of which require an industry partner. So you can check those out. This is a dynamic list that's constantly changing, and universities have the ability to kind of update and add to this as they go. But you can see a detailed description of different programs that are available. And of course, on any particular page, there's always a link to get more information. Back to the homepage again, we also include patent data. We feature all of the patents that have been generated in the state of Ohio in the last 10 years by any university. So that means a patent where any university, public or private, is named on the patent. We make sure that those are available here. In addition, we ask each of the participating universities to give us a list of their featured patents. You could think of this as sort of IP that's licensable, like licensable IP opportunities that you can go after. You can also put in a keyword to kind of limit the database responses, and microelectronics is one. So we have 11 featured patents that have something to do with that topic area. On the left-hand side are all ways that you can filter the data, very robust set of opportunities. And then on the right-hand side are some analytical views, basically looking at data just from Case Western or some of the other partners that are listed on these individual patents. Why do we have a tool like this, and why does it exist? Well, you have to go back several years, but the Ohio Board of Regents recognized that the resources of higher education are often not transparent or easily accessible. And so investments were made back in 2015, 16, 17 to kind of study the feasibility of this. Ohio is one of a few states that has a comprehensive database like this. And our plan over time is to continue to add to this, include data and information and resources that the public is desiring. We partner with a vendor, international vendor that helps us build this site. One of the things we link to that I don't even know if folks know about, but we grab research news stories from all of our participating universities. And so this particular section is constantly being updated. So you can see about new studies or new breakthroughs that are happening. And then we have several case studies about industry and higher education partnerships. Down in the footer are all kinds of resources, including an infographic, which we'll send to you later today. But I invite you to play with the page. I invite you to follow us on LinkedIn so you can get updates, especially about this innovation tour, because we'll be announcing the next session pretty soon. So with that, Chris, let me turn it back to you. I appreciate the opportunity to talk.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Jeff. And again, ohioinnovationexchange.org, and also be sure to give them a follow on LinkedIn or Twitter if you are on either of those platforms, and you can find more information there. Next up, we are going to welcome Intel, who's going to share more about their work in our state and on the Intel Semiconductor Education and Research Program for Ohio. So welcome, and thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you. Jeff, can you stop sharing? I'm not able to share anything. So while I'm pulling up my presentation, I first want to thank Ohio Innovation Exchange for this opportunity. I think it's really great to share with the larger audience what Intel has been doing right after the announcement of the mega site that we are constructing in Ohio. With that, I'm here to kick this web series off, and I'm really looking forward to hearing more from the participants here. In terms of introduction, my name is Sowmya Venkataramani. I'm a program director at University Research and Collaboration within Intel Labs. Intel Labs is a smaller team of researchers that collaborate very heavily with academic industry partners, and we collaborate and push the research frontier, not just for Intel, but for the semiconductor industry. In terms of my educational background, I have a PhD in physics from Brown University. And prior to joining Intel, I was a researcher in the areas of semiconductor and neuroscience. I was a patent engineer and scientific advisor prior to joining Intel as a supply chain engineer. I've been with Intel for about 4.5 years. The last year, I've been a program director in Intel Labs. Personal front, I have 2 kids, daughter and a son, and I'm extremely passionate about STEM. And you will hear shortly what puts a smile in my face. I am leading this program with Mindy Murdoch. She's not. I hope she'll be here in one of these sessions again, participating in the panel. But together we are leading this Intel Semiconductor Education Program for Ohio. So just to level set, I think this is not news anymore, but Intel back in the beginning of the year announced that we're going to build this site in Ohio, fab sites, which would be a $20 billion investment to build 2 new fab modules, which would be leading edge semiconductor site in the United States. And again, there is a potential to build up to 8 fabs there. This is by far the biggest private investment in the state's history. And I won't go into too much details about the site, because you will be seeing it live in action as the concrete and the construction is getting started. But as part of this is also the commitment to create more jobs for not just Ohio, but for the country. And also along with that, we also committed to invest in education and research programs. So this was Intel's commitment, right alongside with our construction announcement, site announcement. We said we would invest $100 million in the state of Ohio and National Semiconductor Education and Research Program. The breakup is shown here. So $50 million was allocated for the state of Ohio, and another $50 million was co-matched by National Science Foundation. Together, that is a nationwide program. And today, I'll be focusing on the Ohio program, but we'll also talk a little bit about the NSF Intel partnership. So this, we released a request for proposal beginning of the year, and we said out of the 50 million allocated for 10 years, we will do a phase 1, which was a 15 million and a 3-year program. that was our announcement. This was publicly announced, and all the higher education institutes in the state of Ohio was encouraged to participate. We will be planning a second and a third RFP in 2024-2026 timeframe. And again, this was to give us some leeway into making adjustments as we see the outcomes of these programs. We said there were 5 key topics that would be part of this this development. There was the focus on curriculum, semiconductor focused curriculum development, faculty training, lab equipment upgrades, novel research, semiconductor research, and then student experiential opportunities. All the higher education institutes were asked to partner together and submit collaborative proposals, which could include multiple key topics. And you'll hear from the recipients, the outcome of these programs. But in our mind, we were thinking, as curriculum is being developed, faculty also trained to deliver that curriculum, and then combining with student experiential opportunities would make a very comprehensive proposal. So that's where this all started, and we were very happy to see that the collaboration that organically formed, and we got really high quality research proposals. We got about 27 proposals, and the number of collaborations were over 200 participating institutes. So we were very happy to see. And this is a video I'm just going to show, but I'll be speaking as this video plays out. So this is Intel's site in Licking County, Ohio, and we selected 8 proposals. The lead institute is shown here. University of Cincinnati submitted a proposal that was highlighting partners in the Southwest region. Central State, the historically blackened college and university in Ohio, submitted a proposal, and then Columbus State community colleges submitted a proposal and got selected. This would encompass all the 23 community colleges. Kent State, who you'll be hearing today, represents the Northeast collaborations. Lorain County Community College, again, you'll be hearing more from them directly today. Ohio University submitted a proposal that would be collaborating with a lot of the Appalachian region. Ohio State University led a proposal that was research focused, and again, another one which was more about diversity and inclusion and workforce development program. So together, what this shows is this shows the 8 lead institutes that were funded, but then if you look at the collaborators, it's over 80 higher education institutes that are partnering towards this program. And I had mentioned initially that our funding was 15 million, but because of the quality of the proposal and the ambitious goals that these proposals were putting forth, we decided to front load the investment. So we added 2.7 million to the original plan that we had. And so for this particular round, for 3 years, we are funding $17.7 million. Again, the 8 institutes. And through these, the institutes are providing over 2,300 scholarships to students to be part of this program. And at the end of 3 years, we hope to educate 9,000 students. And I mentioned in the beginning, this is what puts a smile in my face every single day I wake up. Again, the 9,000 students are all the way from associates to advanced degree. So, it is heavy focused on associates in the beginning because our fab, the backbone of our fab is the technician workforce that runs our fab. So because we want to have that support that's needed to start the fab and get it online, the initial focus is to train more of the associates. And as we ramp up, we will continue to engage and educate more and more students, bachelor's and advanced students as well. And I mentioned 2,300 scholarships. And again, Intel has a strong RISE goal, responsive, inclusive, sustainable, and enabling goal. And our goal is to have more women, more diverse workforce. And so a lot of and we encourage the universities to provide more scholarships to women and underrepresented minorities. As part of this, as I mentioned, curriculum development is a big focus. And here we are hoping to have the universities, colleges, and the community colleges to develop these certificates, semiconductor focused certificates. Again, some of these are completely new. Some are updated based on their existing, and again, also opening it up, right? Not just to material science programs or electrical engineering, but opening it up to a larger audience so they can have a semiconductor focused track. So that's some of the outcomes of these programs. So with that, you will hear more from the recipients directly, and we would, we are really looking forward to kicking this program off and educating the next generation workforce. With that, I also wanted to spend a few minutes on the NSF Intel partnership. So we said together we are going to spend 100 million for the next 10 years. A first phase of that announcement already went through. There was a dear colleague letter that went through back in September. So through that, we are partnering with NSF and funding 2 of the already existing programs, which is the Advanced Technological Education and the Scholarships in Science, Technology, Engineering, and Mathematics, the STEM program. So these would be, unlike the Ohio program, which was Intel driven, and we did all the selection here. We will be partnering with NSF taking the lead in a lot of these proposals. So we would encourage everyone in the audience to look into these programs. Again, this is just one of several that's coming up. So, please be tuned in. There's going to be more announcements coming up next year. With that, let's build the workforce. Let's educate the students. And I'm going to hand it over to the 2 teams that are recipients here, Lorain County Community College and Kent State. And thank you again for the opportunity. And I'll be happy to take questions at the end.
Yeah, thank you so much. And as we hand it over to the Lorain County Community College team that will also have Stark State, Case Western Reserve, the chat is now up and running. So thanks to everyone for bearing in mind as we're navigating Zoom a bit there. So feel free to put in questions, comments, thoughts, also your introductions. And so we'd love to connect with you there. And now we're going to turn it over to Lorain County Community College for their presentation.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Terry Burgess-Sandu. I'm Director of Talent and Business Innovation at Lorain County Community College. I'm also the Director of Ohio TechNet that you're going to hear me talk a little bit more about. And so we're really, again, excited to be here. Appreciate the opportunity. I want to make sure my colleagues who are with us, I think you've already come on screen. So thank you. We're going to introduce you in a moment. Of course. Okay, there we go. So we have a number of partners across the region for our project. Today, this is who is representing us. Kelly Zalesnik, who's our PI, Richard Hartman, who's one of our partners from Stark State, and Dr. Chris Zorman from Case Western. I'm also joined by my colleagues, Lori Bacchus and Courtney Tenover, who are key members of our project team at Lorain for this effort. You're going to hear me talk about Ohio TechNet. We call this Ohio TechNet Northeast Ohio, but Ohio TechNet is a statewide network launched in 2014, originally with 11 community colleges with a Department of Labor grant. We have since grown that network. It's entirely focused on advanced manufacturing, really helping to meet the manufacturing workforce and talent needs of the state. We've expanded, you can see, to all 23 community colleges. We have a number of university partners and a growing number of career technical centers. And it's free to join. If anyone's interested, please do go to the website, reach out, learn more. If I have time, there's a free open education resource that I really encourage everyone to look at. It's this otn.skillscommons.org. That's a national site, but we've done some curation and again, just want to make sure that this group knows about that. Ohio TechNet partners closely with the Ohio Manufacturers Association and other statewide industry, state and community partners. One example is we have a Department of Labor Scaling Apprenticeship Grant that is active through June of 2024. We are well on our way to serving over 5,000 apprentices through innovative earn and learn initiatives. We also, by leveraging Ohio TechNet, another example, we facilitate a Department of Defense investment that has funded 13 sites across the state to implement a program called Flex Factor, which is engaging high school and middle school students to learn about advanced technology. So these are 2 examples. We have some others. We just won a recent Department of Defense STEM grant, but all of these braid together. And so we just wanted to make sure you're aware. And again, happy to talk more with you if any of this is of interest, since I think we have a statewide audience. In terms of our specific regional project, you can see who our partners are. We're really thrilled that we have all 4 community colleges in the region, as well as our leading universities, all working together to meet these 4 primary objectives, which, as you can see, are around, we know we need to scale the talent pipeline. We need to just get more people in. We need to get them through. We need to look at who we're serving and make sure we're reaching the diversity goals that we all, very ambitious diversity goals that we know we need to hit to meet these talent needs. We know we need to work on some capacity within the system. We're super excited about all the efforts that are going on to expand work-based learning, again, that innovative earn and learn, and then to share through this kind of network, through Ohio TechNet, through the Intel engagement, through any ways that is possible to share what works as we learn it. We have 3 core areas of what we call domain or focus areas. Certainly those core semiconductor skills, but you're going to hear me talk also. We're also looking at those related skills like automation, robotics, and clean room training that are going to be really important to a number of the technician and engineering roles, STEM roles that Intel and their supply chain needs. We have broken our work up into 3 teams, and I really, again, want to thank all of our partners who have agreed. We have co-chairs for each of these teams to make sure that the work is divided amongst all of our really talented partners. So we have one team that's focused on the technical content, really diving into, okay, what are the skills that are needed? We know in many cases, as Sowmya mentioned, we're going to be tweaking curriculum. We may not be creating brand new courses, but are there new skills that need to be embedded? And then we also know we need to work on the scale. How many people are we actually graduating from these programs, from our technician, from our 4-year programs, from our master's programs? Is it enough? How do we double or triple those? So that's what we mean by right skills and scale. Team 2 is looking at that talent engagement really across the board. We also have funds for scholarships, recruitment, and of course, we're looking at diversity, equity, and inclusion. And then that 3rd team is looking at what are the innovations we want to do in terms of faculty development so that they really felt brought along with all of this new exciting work in the semiconductor area. Well, you can see here too that we have, a little bit more detail in terms of the focus areas. We have these planned curriculum updates in a number of areas. We are really working closely with all of the projects, and in particular with our partners at Columbus State and the Ohio Association of Community Colleges to make sure that we are aligning our efforts. They have a core focus on those core semiconductor skills. They're doing an amazing work to pull together subject matter experts. So at the technician level, we're going to be really careful not to duplicate, but to complement. As they learn, we want to get that information out across the region to all the faculty and other workforce development leaders who may want to know what those skills are that they want to embed, as well as work with all of the partners as well on the university level to share that information. And then again, as I mentioned, a really core focus on automation robotics. We do have some unique assets here at Lorraine County Community College, at Case, I think probably at Kent. We have, some of our partners do have unique clean room facilities currently. So we are thinking through how do we leverage those to bring people on site, introduce them to clean room, get them used to, what it means to gown up, all of that. So all of that is part of our thinking on this project. This is a little bit of fun. We had some fun. We used to have a really wordy chart about this competencies and expertise that all of our partners bring. You saw that list of schools. We're, again, super excited to have so many subject matter experts. So this just kind of takes some of those keywords and puts it into this chart to show, we really do in Northeast Ohio have some wonderful existing assets and expertise that we will be leveraging to help us reach our goals for this project and make sure that our region is doing what we need to do to support both Intel's success and the state of Ohio's success as we embrace this new industry for our state, or this expanding industry for our state. We do have some metrics that we're going to be tracking. So you can see those here under curriculum development, how many students are we impacting, how many courses, that type of thing. Certainly looking at the articulation pathways. We will be tracking with our partners experiential learning, and we really want to be broad in how we understand that. Really, any hands-on experience that a student gets, whether that's through your traditional internships and co-ops, research opportunities, apprenticeship, innovative earn and learn, boot camps, we really want to be capturing that and looking how that's helping us expand that talent pipeline. And again, all of those ways that we know we need to help support our faculty to get engaged, update their skills, keep their skills current, really understand what this means for them and the students that they are reaching every single day. In terms of our DEI goals, so we have funds for scholarships for 159 students. We originally planned that each of those students would get up to $2,000. Our partner, that committee right now, is working out the details. We want to have a regional approach to how we do the outreach, what some of those common criteria are, although each institution will use its own strategies for managing those scholarship funds. Sowmya, you'll love this. We may end up exceeding those numbers because some of the schools want to do maybe reach more students with a little bit less money. So again, we're going to have some flexibility in there, but at a minimum, we will be serving 159 students. I also wanted to share, we do have some really wonderful assets that we can leverage. I mentioned the Ohio Manufacturing Workforce Partnership, in partnership with Ohio Manufacturers Association and their network of regional industry-led sector partnerships. They're doing amazing work around DEI. Again, we're partners with them in that. We're learning from each other constantly, so all of that will be leveraged. They did, of course, just win, if you're familiar, they just won a pretty large Economic Development Administration Good Jobs Challenge grant. So they'll be expanding those efforts, and that will benefit all of us. We have some really exciting work going on. We know that engagement of women in technician roles is a priority for Intel. Please visit wisecareerpathways.com. There's some really great work going on that could be a good tool. We know there are others, but that's one that Ohio TechNet has really gotten behind. And Flex Factor is a really great way. There are literally thousands of high school and middle school students being engaged already through that Department of Defense investment. And the way that program runs, it is run in a traditional high school classroom. So students don't have to opt in, which solves the problem of many students opting out because they don't see themselves in these pathways. So we are reaching very diverse students in that program. Again, I'm happy to talk more about any of that. I'm talking fast today because I want to make sure I give my colleagues a chance. So here's the contact information for our project team. But I want to stop sharing and just see if any of my colleagues, if Dr. Zorman, Mr. Hartman, Dean Zalesnik, if anything you would want to add. I talk really fast. I am a trained auctioneer, so I have to apologize. It's in my blood. I'm licensed with the state of Ohio, but please, what did I miss? Any key highlights you want to add?
Carrie, I'll just add one thing. I work on the faculty development subcommittee or committee, and because I'm at Case Western Reserve University, my focus, or what I bring to the table, is a perspective from the four-year colleges and the universities. And we recognize that in Northeast Ohio, we have both liberal arts colleges as well as four-year universities that grant bachelor's, master's, and PhD degrees. And we know Intel is going to draw talent from all of those types of schools. And so from the faculty development perspective, we're going to look for opportunities to infuse semiconductors into existing courses. So for instance, if you teach at a liberal arts college, either chemistry or physics, since semiconductors are relevant to those disciplines, we'll assist faculty in how they may be able to infuse topics related to semiconductor manufacturing in those. And then the colleges that have engineering as a degree program, we're going to figure out how to amp the semiconductor aspects of an engineering discipline up to on par with what you might find in Arizona or California or those states that are traditional semiconductor manufacturing states. So we're excited about this, and we think we've got lots of good work to do, and we are confident we'll be successful.
Thank you, Dr. Zorman. I really appreciate your leadership on that. Mr. Harmon or Dean Zalesnik, anything you would want to add?
I just, as far as Stark State, we have a really strong electrical engineering technology and mechanical engineering technology programs, as well as automation and robotics. And so we do a lot in the advanced manufacturing and preparing technicians and supporting a lot of the apprenticeship programs and stuff that you mentioned earlier. So.
Great.
Carrie,
Kelly?
I want to thank you for a fabulous presentation. And I have to say how excited I am to be working with everyone on our team and thrilled with the opportunity. I've heard students already telling me, and young students saying, I want to work for Intel. I mean, the word is already out there. Students are really excited. And I think we have a phenomenal opportunity to make a tremendous impact. So I'm really excited to be on this project.
Yeah, and we have hosted many of you for visits. We always welcome visitors to, if you want to visit our clean lab that we use and our microelectronics program, as well as our Merit Center, which does industry training. And obviously we're all thinking about how we can do more of that, innovative ways, even if we can't get people inside a clean room, that we can get them, experience working gowned up and all of that. Chris, if I have one more second, I would like to just show, okay, I wanted to share real quick. So I mentioned the Ohio TechNet portal. I know that one of the things we're going to be thinking about is where to share all the resources, and it may end up somewhere else, but I did want to let folks know there is this portal. I have the website up on our presentation. It's and I'll put it in the chat. It's otn.skillscommons.org. It's just a great resource. Skills Commons is a site that the Department of Labor created back when they were making a pretty heavy investment in community colleges. And we were all required to share any materials that came out of that as OER. So we have worked with some industry experts to create a set of curated resources. So these are things that both come out of Ohio, but really come out of national resources as well. So just wanted to share that and encourage you to take a minute and take a look at it. And if that's of interest to use as we all think about where to share these different resources, please let us know. I think that is it. And we're happy to take questions now or later, Chris, whenever you would like. Thank you.
Thank you, Terry. And yes, for questions, if people want to start putting those in the chat, or you can DM them to myself or Jeff. At the end, we'll have some time. And then, of course, hopefully some great follow-ups will come out of this in the days and weeks to come. But thank you all. Thank you, Terry, for leading that. Next up, we would like to welcome our next presentation, the next overview, which is going to come from the Kent State University team that is leading this, and also Lake Erie College. So I will turn it over now. Welcome.
Hi there. My name is Peggy Shadduck, and I am the lead PI for the Kent State team. So I'm going to also share my screen to try to show you some things here, see if I can get it to come up. Okay. Great. So we are delighted to be not only partners in the project that was just described by our colleagues from Lorain County Community College, but also to be leading another team that is working on this effort from Kent State University. And so on the first slide here, I was showing you even internal to Kent State, we were trying to bring together groups of individuals who may not always work together. So that's one of the great advantages, is there was a strong encouragement for collaborations. So my job at Kent State University, well, I have several. I'm in charge of our regional campuses. So for those of you that were not aware, Kent State has its sort of main campus in Kent, Ohio, but we also have 8 different locations throughout Northeast Ohio where we have regional campuses. And through those campuses, we do both bachelor's degrees and associate degrees. So I also serve as the dean of that college. I'm the dean of the College of Applied and Technical Studies that handles associate's degrees and also bachelor's degrees at an applied level. So it made real sense for me to be really involved in this. The other thing that I do for the university is work with lifelong learning initiatives. So thinking all the way from the students who we engage with before they even come to college, while they're still in junior high and high school, all the way through to people who are upskilling and reskilling in various kinds of areas, trying to think about career changes or improving their skills, all the way up to people who are what we call senior guests coming into different classes. So all of those come together for the Intel project. So I'm also getting to work closely with colleagues from some other areas of the university. Our College of Aeronautics and Engineering is obviously very interested in this kind of thing because the engineering folks are very fascinated by all the things going on with semiconductors and things related to that. We also have a great group that is our Advanced Materials and Liquid Crystal Institute. And as Terry mentioned a couple minutes ago, we do have a very nice clean room associated with that is at our Kent campus. And then also thinking about the issues that have been mentioned about really wanting to increase the talent pipeline in areas like this, especially for women and underrepresented minorities. We involved from the very beginning our group that's involved with university outreach and engagement to come together and say, what is it that we really want to do? So from within the university, these were sort of our starting points for saying, what is it that we can do to make a difference in what's happening with a talent pipeline that would be valuable for Intel, for the suppliers of Intel, and for the people of Ohio. So we called our particular project, not sure this is going to go forward correctly. Excuse me 1 second, I'm going to stop sharing and then reshare again because I don't think that it came up quite the way I needed it to. So let me try again here and we'll see if I can get it to go this way. It doesn't seem to quite want to go from the beginning. Now I'll see if it'll do it. There we go. Okay, sorry about that. Technical difficulties for a second. So we called our project overall Pathways to a Semiconductor Career because we know that that's what we're really all focused on. There are a lot of different careers that are associated with Intel and all the suppliers that are working with this. So from things directly in the fab facilities to engineers that are designing things to researchers and all of the suppliers working with them. And so our goal overall is to think about what are all the different kinds of pathways, what are the entry points where we can really help people see themselves and move into things that are going to make a difference for them in their career pathways. So we have a whole set of partners, and this is one of the things we're most excited about. So there was just some discussion in terms of the faculty development side of what's happening with the Lorain County Community College led project that we're actually really excited to take advantage of. We do have at this point actually 11 of the private colleges in the area who are partners with us, as well as 3 of the community colleges in the area. And so this map is sort of showing the different areas that we're working with. The little yellow signs represent the regional campuses of Kent State and the Kent campus. So we're spread a lot through Northeast Ohio, but then we have a tremendous variety of what our partners are bringing to the table. The different private institutions have a lot of different areas of specialty, a lot of different areas that they really bring things that they can do in a special way that is a little bit different than what some of us can do, whether we're in the community college realm or whether we are in the public university realm. So to bring these all together, we think we're going to be able to achieve things that are stronger than what any one group would be able to achieve by itself. So that's one of the other areas that we're quite excited about with all of this. And you get to hear from one of these. Johnathan Tedesco is here from Lake Erie College to give you just a little bit of example after I give you an overview of what we have. So our approach to this, Sowmya mentioned that there were sort of 5 major areas that Intel put out in the request for proposals. And what we really thought about was say, okay, what are the areas where we might be able to bring the greatest strengths of Kent State University and then bring in partnerships to expand upon those strengths. So we selected 3 of those areas. One is curriculum development. Another one was some laboratory equipment upgrades. And the third one that we selected was thinking about the experiential learning opportunities. So what I want to do is just give you a real quick overview about what approach we're taking with each of those areas. And then we'll, by all means, can look at more detail later on. So we started with a mindset of saying, well, we know certain things about Kent State University that make us a particularly strong university in the area. And some of that is kind of illustrated in what you see in the inner circle in this diagram. So it's not that awful common for a university that is designated as an R1 research high-level university to also offer associate's degrees, certificates, to be thinking about things for workforce at the level that we do. So this combination that Kent State has allows us to really bridge some things that are not often bridged. And so that's one of the things that we're really excited about in the curricular level, is to bridge our R1 research approach with a workforce approach that we also take. We also then do have very strong programs at the bachelor's, master's, and doctoral level as well. And we knew that we could build on those to bring greater strengths. The institution is really known at Kent State for being an institution that makes tremendous emphasis on social justice issues, on access, on success of our students. We have quite a few programs, and I won't even try to name them all, that are really trying to target particular groups of learners to make sure that they're going to be able to be successful in earning the kinds of credentials that will make a difference for them and their employers. I mentioned to you that one of my charges also is to really bring together the many, many things we're already doing related to lifelong learning, upskilling and reskilling. We have lots of strengths, and we're trying to really unify those in a strong way right now. So we saw that as a point that we could bring in. And then I also mentioned the facilities that we have, such as the clean room through AMLCI, our Advanced Materials and Liquid Crystals Institute. So we kind of started there and said, now, if we think about the resources we have and we leverage partnerships with all these wonderful partners that have come to the table with us, how can we expand all of these things and make a difference with them? And so that was our mindset, is what can we do to expand this? So I'll use this diagram then to try to further show you a little bit about the three major areas that we are working with. So with curriculum development, we were really thinking about multiple levels. I mentioned before that we have associate's degrees. We do also have a strong associate degree already at Kent State in electrical, electronic engineering technology and mechanical engineering technology, as many of our community college partners do. And so that's a wonderful strength that we have in the area. So the idea of how do we tweak some of those things? How do we analyze those things? How do we work with those to make those stronger? And there we will work very, very closely with all of our community college partners, with the other grants that are going on, the other project leads throughout the state, to bring that together and make those stronger. We also then were seeing the need to think about some things at I guess a smaller piece, the level of micro credentials, shorter credentials. What is it that we might be able to do to make a difference there? And so micro credential development for undergraduate, lower level, higher level undergraduate, graduate level, even adult learners who need to reskill. That's another area that we're showing as ways to expand, building on these strengths. Another important part is then that movement even between institutions and between kinds of programs at the bachelor's level and graduate level. So we plan to really take a very, very hard look at the pathways from associates to bachelor's, from bachelor's to master's. And even if we have students who are transferring between institutions, are we making sure that we're setting them up for all the right pathways to achieve this? So the inter and intra-institutional pathway alignment is going to be a key part of our curriculum development as well. In terms of the laboratory equipment upgrade, some of this was just to make sure that we could do all the curriculum. We needed to have a couple of key pieces of equipment in our clean room to be able to do that. We really needed a little bit more equipment to be able to make sure that we could expand the offerings in the associates level. So I won't spend much time on that, other than sometimes you have to have the tools to be able to get it done. And so we appreciate that we're doing some of that to expand the opportunities. And then the experiential learning. This is such a key part of what all of us are doing. So the different things that were mentioned by my colleagues from Lorain County Community College, all of our students need to have the very hands-on learning experiences. And so the approaches that we are going to work on with our partners and other collaborators, how can we use some things during the summer to bring people in for some intense hands-on activity? How can we think about hybrid modalities to bring immersive experiences that are short-term that then will fit together with some online learning? Working together also with Ohio State, with Case Western, with University of Cincinnati, for things that we hope the entire state will benefit from in the area of virtual reality. So we're delighted to help contribute with that. Making sure that students can get into internships and other hands-on experiences that go beyond the classroom. And then a key part of this is making sure that we're supporting the students. So it's been mentioned the importance of scholarships, But it's not just financial support, it's all the other kind of supports that allow especially women and especially underrepresented minorities who may not have envisioned themselves in these pathways to really see themselves as a professional working with Intel and someone who has not only that entry job, but a pathway to their future in a long-term, hopefully lifetime career that is related to this. And so all of those are things that we want to think about as we go through. So I'm going to turn things to my colleague Johnathan for a minute to talk a little bit about some specifics of what Lake Erie College is thinking about as one of our partners, just to give an example.
Thanks, Peggy, and thank you everyone for being here and letting me speak for a little bit. I'm actually very excited to join because, you know, I will say being at a smaller, private, somewhat rural liberal arts institution, sometimes we feel like we get overlooked for these types of things. So it's really exciting for us to be included here. And I think we can bring some unique aspects to this project that will really help reach some populations that maybe wouldn't otherwise be reached. And so one of the big things that we're focusing on is we were recently awarded a sizable grant for scholarships for women and Hispanic students pursuing STEM careers. And we're looking to expand on that. And one of the things we found over the last year is financial barriers are a problem, but so is basic, just what we kind of take for advantage as educators, things like language barriers, family barriers that aren't necessarily realized at our level. And we're working through how we can engage those types of students as well. And I think the big thing that we're excited about is this idea of micro-credentialing and summer institutes, because those are non-threatening ways that we can bring people who have traditionally not been successful for whatever reason in kind of a traditional high school or college setting. We can bring them in a non-threatening, more hands-on applied way. And it's something that maybe they're more familiar with. And I think the big thing too is these pathways are often overlooked because we don't necessarily see the direct tie. So for example, we do have an HVACR program on our campus that we're currently working to get up to an applied associate's degree. And we're working with partners, our local industry partners, to start identifying some other credentials, so welding, industrial maintenance, those types of things. But we don't often think of those more fundamental skill sets or credentials as being pathways into STEM careers, but for a lot of our local population, it's exactly what it is. So for a student who comes from a Spanish-speaking family and mom and dad are first generation from Mexico, the idea of going from welding into a STEM career may not seem like a logical step for a lot of us traditionally, but it is exactly the pathway that we can provide for these types of students. And so I think that the idea of the micro-credentialing really is going to be a big hit for these types of populations, especially in our area where they have struggled. And so what we're looking to do is add some competency-based education to everything that Peggy has described, where it's not the traditional academic approach, but rather it's project-based, it's hands-on, it's applied. And so the students can start to learn some of those technical skills that then we can kind of advance them into some of those STEM careers, whether it's directly into workforce in terms of manufacturing floor type positions, or into an associate's, eventually maybe bachelor's, even master's degrees type work. It's really just getting them in the door. And I think these micro-credentials and summer institutes are going to be a great way that we can do that. And private institutions like us, we're kind of situated in the midst of these populations, so we can really bring something of value to the table there, I think. So thank you. I'm happy to answer questions if there are any, but I know we're trying to stick to the schedule. So appreciate the time. Thank you very much.
Excellent job, everybody. Thank you. We have a couple minutes left to answer a few questions. Chris, I don't know if you want me to go ahead and read a couple to the panelists.
Yeah,
All right,
please
great.
go ahead.
So
Absolutely.
the Innovation Exchange sponsored this series really to showcase industry and higher ed partnerships, and you all did an excellent job of showing what that could look like. I mean, you gave meat to the bone, so thank you for that. Could you comment a little bit on what is different or unique about this partnership with Intel? And if you could share a bit about any other industry partnerships and how this new program is similar or different than past efforts, like sort of what's the new trend or new direction you're going? Does anybody like to take that question? I know it was a two-parter. Terry, you look generous.
So how it's different in terms of how we're going to collaborate?
Yeah, collaborations are just with Intel as a partner. Yeah, how is it different?
Sure. Well, I think that, I mean, personally, I think the scale and the pace is very different. The really deep commitment, not that all companies aren't eager to have reach a more diverse, but Intel is very clear about, for example, their goals for women. And I like that. I think work, especially those of us who come out of workforce, do really well when we're when companies say, this is what we want, then we want to try to achieve that. So it just puts a fire under all of us too. And all of the things that our colleagues have mentioned, the related things we know we need to do to meet our students, in community colleges, we know a majority of our students are Pell eligible, which means they're low income, which means they got all those barriers, So, to me, this is a wonderful moment where we really are thinking differently across all these systems about what is keeping these very talented people out of these pathways, or not letting them complete, or not even helping them take that first step, because there's no silver bullet. But we gotta ramp up, and we gotta ramp up fast. So just sitting here with this group of people, I'm like so humbled and excited. So I think that's part of what's really different. And I really want to give credit to the Intel team, because you're giving us that, you're kind of giving us here's what we expect of you, here's how we're going to support you. Nothing in this is going to be easy, we know that, but I think in Northeast Ohio, again, that focus on what are the skills that are unique that need to be embedded. We don't necessarily need to create something brand new. And then how do we really scale? Where are those points of light that we can just really put some momentum behind? As a starting point, where can we get some of those quick wins while we're doing all the other stuff? So that's what comes to mind initially. I'm not sure if anyone else had other thoughts that came to mind.
I think that was really well said, Terry. So thank you. Yeah. Does anybody else want to add something different? Yeah, go ahead, Chris.
Yeah. So we at Case Western have been involved in semiconductor education and research for the last 40 plus years. And for the most part, the students we train would leave the Midwest and take jobs in California, Texas, Arizona, maybe the East Coast, probably overseas along the Pacific Rim. So this Intel activity is a game changer in that no longer will we be participating in exclusively brain drain from Ohio. I think we're going to keep a lot of homegrown students here, and we'll actually attract talent from those other regions back to Ohio. So that's significantly different than anything else we have been involved in here at Case.
That's fantastic. Great example. Yep. I have another question. Do you have, Peggy, did you want to say something?
Yeah. The one other thing that I would add to that, I think what my colleagues have said is very, very relevant. I would just add that the other thing that feels different to me about working with Intel is related to what they said. I would describe it as almost feeling very tangible, so tangible that we might be able to really help people who had never envisioned themselves in these kinds of careers go, yes, I could do this. Because Intel is here in Ohio, I don't have to necessarily go to Texas or Arizona to do this. Because Intel has been working with us on this before they even have the fab facilities built, because they're really trying to make sure that we have the resources necessary to be able to illustrate the opportunities to all the potential learners. It is a more tangible career pathway for a lot of people, and that can help people change people's minds. And we don't normally get that kind of a relation. It tends to be later in the process. By being this early in the process, I think that's really helping to open the eyes of potential individuals who are learners for the higher education institutions and employees for Intel and its suppliers.
It's excellent. What you're describing to me is a true partnership where our industry partner Intel has stepped up and said exactly what they want, and the universities have responded in kind. I know we're almost a minute left, so let me turn it back to Chris for some final remarks. We don't have to necessarily end right at noon, but if people need to go, we understand that. But let me turn it over to Chris real quick.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jeff. And to all our panelists and attendees, thank you so much for being here. A fascinating conversation. And every time I get to hear something around this topic, the excitement is just incredible. And I learn something new each time. So thank you all to our leaders. In the chat, we put a number of links that you can follow. If you want to continue hearing more about this type of work, what's happening at our universities and our community colleges, go to the Ohio Innovation Exchange. There's a ton of great resources and information there. Of course, our website, they are building out an incredible platform that we'd very much recommend. If you're on the industry side, please reach out, because we just discussed one today, semiconductors, and bringing a new one to the state. But there's just so much more power and potential when we continue these types of partnerships. Of course, OhioX on LinkedIn, also our website, ohiox.org. We'll have a recording of this that goes on our YouTube channel, probably be up today or tomorrow at some point. And so if you happen to miss some of this or want to share it with a colleague or someone at your company or organization, please do so as well there. And then finally, as Jeff mentioned at the beginning, this is just a series of conversations that we'll be having between OhioX and the Ohio Innovation Exchange, talking about these types of things throughout the year. And so we very much welcome your feedback on topics and areas that we can discuss, continue to learn more about and share. And so today, again, we were able to bring Intel leaders and then also folks from Northeastern Ohio to the table to share exactly how that region of the state is building our collective tech future, which is so exciting. So Jeff, any final comments from you before we start to wrap up? And again, happy to stay around if anyone has any specific questions that they'd like to continue.
I just want to say how proud I am of all of you and the work that you're doing, and thank you to Intel for making this possible. I mean, I just think the Northeast region has really outdone themselves. This is just incredible stuff that's coming. So I look forward to seeing how your partners throughout the state have also done similar things. So thank you and congratulations to everybody.
Terrific. Well, thank you all. We appreciate your time and have a great day. Bye-bye.